Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back in lecture number 27. Today we are going to solve some of the problems left in our previous lecture, and then we will continue to the lecture number 15. And the summary of our previous lecture is that we solved problems at the end of chapter 14 and covered the topics related to risk and managerial options in capital budgeting. And if you remember, we solved about 4 of the problems given at the end, and now we will start from the 5th and 6th problem. You will do it yourself. 7th problem, that I don't require you to do that because a lot of simulation is required into that, and it is better for you to have some computer software to solve that problem. So हम problem number 7 जो है उसको नहीं करेंगे, and then we will skip to problem number 8. So let's first solve the problem number 5. So in the book of financial management, the fundamentals of financial management by Van Horn, it is page number 370. We are given with the information that the Flotsam and Jetsam wreckage company will invest into of 3 possible projects. The company is going to invest into 2 out of 3 possible projects, the cash flows of which are normally distributed, the expected net present value discounted at the risk-free rate, and the standard deviation for each proposal are given as follows. So you can see here the expected NPV and the standard deviation for all 3 proposals is given here, and assuming the following correlation coefficient for each possible 2 project combination, which combination dominates the other. So we are going to solve for the combination which is better than the other. So let's start with the net present values and the standard deviations and coefficient of variation. These 3 things we actually require such that the different combinations can be compared among each other. So first of all, we start with the combination. What combinations are possible? This is problem 5, and here we have combinations. The combinations given are 1 with 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, then 2 and 3. So for each of this combination we are given correlation coefficient as well. So first we determine the net present value, the expected net present value if we choose any of these combinations. So when we choose any of the combination, so whatever their net present value is, we just add that up. For example, in case of 1 and 2, हमारे पास जो expected net present value है for proposal 1 it is 10,000, and for proposal 2 it is 8,000. So the net present value for first combination becomes 10,000 and 8,000, 18,000. And for 1 and 3, that is 10,000 and 6,000, it becomes 16,000. And then 2 and 3, 2 expected value for the second proposal is 8,000, and for the third one is 6,000, so it makes 14,000. And then we calculate the standard deviation of the net present values for all these combinations. So now we have a formula to determine the net present value for different combinations. So that formula is standard deviation of net present value. This is equal to summation of proposal J from 1 to 2. We have 2 proposals here. K from 1 to 2, and R is the coefficient of correlation which is given for all 3 proposals between 1 and 2, 1 and 3, and 2 and 3. So we have that between the different proposals here, J and K, and then we calculate the separate standard deviation for each of the projects, and then we take a square root of this, and when we expand it we get it like this. correlation between 1 and 1, and standard deviation between 1 and 1 will become standard deviation square plus 2 into R1 and 2, because now we are taking the combination 1 and 2, and when we take the combination of 1 and 3 we will use 1 and 3 into standard deviation of proposal 1 and standard deviation of proposal 2. Actually, when you expand this one and you put value for j and k, first you will put j1 and k as 1, and then you will get the standard correlation coefficient for 1 and 1, and standard deviation for j equal to 1 and k equal to 1, it will become standard deviation square. So actually it becomes a variance. In fact, अगर आपको याद हो कि standard deviation का जो square होता है वो variance कहलाता है. So we take square root of variance to calculate the standard deviation. और फिर जब आप दूसरी वैल्यू इसमें पुट करेंगे, that is keep j as 1, और आप k की वैल्यू जो है उसमें उसको 2 पुट करें, and then again आप j की सेकेंड वैल्यू जो पुट करेंगे, you will put j as 2 and k as 1. तो यहाँ पे r जो है 1 और 2 हमने लिखा हुआ है between 1 and 2. यहाँ पे जो हमने r को 1 और 2 लिखा हुआ है, actually it is like that. r actually it is correlation between 1 and 2, and second time जब हम k की j की सेकंड वैल्यू पुट करेंगे और k की पहली वैल्यू पुट करेंगे, that is correlation between 2 and 1. तो ये दोनों चीज़ें they are same, so that's why we put a sign of 2 here outside and we combine the equivalent values. And likewise the standard deviation between 1 and standard deviation 2 and standard deviation 2 and standard deviation of 1, जब हम k, j और k की values put करेंगे तो we get like that. अब हम इसको combine करके लिख सकते हैं, this will be added up, they will become 2 into standard deviation 1 and standard deviation 2, and likewise this can, the correlation coefficient between 1 and 2 are 2 and 1, they are the same thing, so we can write it like 2 into standard correlation coefficient between 1 and 2. So when we summarize it, we can write it like this, and then we put values for correlation coefficient between 2 and 2. जब हम j की वैल्यू भी 2 पुट करेंगे और k की वैल्यू भी 2 पुट करेंगे, in that case it will become a correlation between 2 and 2, and then standard deviation j also 2 and k also 2. In that case it will become a square of the standard deviation of the 2. So in this case, and also we have a square root for it, and for these things it should be noted that the correlation between proposal itself, the correlation of proposal with itself is 1. So the value for r1 and 1 is 1, so this will have value equal to 1, and we have standard deviation of 1 square plus 2 into correlation coefficient between 1 and 2, it is given as 0.6 here, so we put it as a 0.6 here, and then we have the standard deviation between 1 and 2, so it is also given us standard deviation between for 1 is 4000, and for the second proposal it is 3000, plus again the correlation between the proposal 2 with itself is 1, and then standard deviation square, which is 3000, we take a square of it. And also we are given here the standard deviation of 1, and we have a square for it, so let's replace it with its value. So for proposal 1 the standard deviation is 4000, and we take a square of it, and square root of this whole equation. and when we solve for it, we get the standard deviation of net present value equal to 394 lakh, and this becomes equal to 6, 2, 7 and 7. So the standard deviation between proposal 1 and 2, it is equal to $6,277. So let's put it in the table here, 6, 2, 7 and 7. And likewise, when we solve it for the rest of the combinations, that is between 1 and 3, and we solve it and we get the standard deviation equal to 6,693 and 6,083. And now the coefficient of variation, that is CV of this NPV, we know that this is equal to the standard deviation of NPV divided by the expected value, that is NPV dash. So we are given here the expected values, and we just calculated the standard deviation between the proposals, and we solve for it, and we get, for the first combination, we have the coefficient of variation is equal to 0.35. Then for the second combination we have 0.42, and for the third combination we have 0.43. So you can see here we calculated the standard deviation and the covariance, coefficient of variance. And as you can see here, the standard deviation, which is the least, that is the best one, and the coefficient of variation, which one is lower, that is the best one. So for each of the combination, if we look at the standard deviation, the combination of 1 and 2 is better than the other two combinations. और अगर हम coefficient of variation को देखते हैं, तो in that case also the combination 1 and 2 is better than other projects. So the firm should take the combination of proposals 1 and 2 because the risk associated with this proposal is minimum. So the firm can reduce the risk and can maximize the value of the firm. And now we come to problem number 6. Problem number 6 is very simple. Most of the information is given here, that there are different combinations. They are denoted with A, B, C and up to J. And for each of the combination, आपको expected net present value दी गई है और standard deviation दी गई है. And you can do further, you can calculate the CV of the net present value by dividing the standard deviation with the net present expected net present value. तो आप इसमें दो combination use कर सकते हैं, net present value और standard deviation, and then draw the graph using the net present value and coefficient of variation. तो उसके अंदर फिर आप देख सकते हैं कि कौन सा combination जो है that is giving maximum net present value and minimum risk. Minimum risk means minimum standard deviation. और उसी तरह से जब आप उसको standard deviation आप जब net present value को coefficient of variation के against plot करेंगे, तो in that case also you will choose the best net present value expected for the least risk, that is जिसका coefficient of variation जो minimum हो और उसका return जो है वो maximum हो, you will pick those combinations. So this is an exercise for you. You will plot it on a graph paper and you will choose the best combinations by yourself. इसके बाद problem number 7 है, and this is you can solve it by using the simulation approach. और simulation approach के लिए आपको मुख्तलिफ combination जो आपने इसमें prepare करने हैं, you can do it on your computers, and I won't require you to solve this problem because you might solve it using some sophisticated software. और इसके अलावा आप manually भी इसको solve कर सकते हैं, but let's not do it. We'll skip to the problem number 8. And the problem number 8 is again simple problem and a little tricky. So let's see what is there. The Bates Pet Motel Company is considering opening a new branch location. If it construct an office and 100 pet cages at its new location, the initial outlay will be $100,000. फर्म एक नई ब्रांच ओपन करना चाहती है और उसके लिए जो इनिशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट होगी दैट विल बी $100,000 और उसके साथ फर्म एक्सपेंड कर रही है. फर्म इज मेकिंग 100 न्यू पेट केजेस एंड देन the project is likely to produce net cash flow of $17,000 per year for 15 years, after which the leasehold on the land expires and the project is left with no residual or salvage value. And this is expected that this project will produce $17,000 over the next 15 years. और उसके बाद जो उसकी salvage value है that will become zero because the contract will expire for about the lease of that place, and then the company's required rate of return is 18%. If the location proves favorable, Bates Pet Motel will be able to expand by another 100 cages at the end of 4 years. This second stage expansion would require a $20,000 outlay with the additional 100 cages. With the additional 100 cages installed, incremental net cash flows of $17,000 per year for years 5 through 15 would be expected. The company believes there is a 50-50 chance that the location will prove to be a favorable one. The company believes there is a 50-50 chance that the location will prove to be a favorable one. So इसमें चांस है कि the $17,000 that are being expected over the next 15 years, there is a probability of 50% for that. And in case if this is not the case, तो firm क्या करेगी? Firm will invest a little bit, and on the other hand, if the project is not success, in that case, firm has the option to expand the project. That is, for the first 4 years, firm will look at what is the worth of this project, and then on the 4th year, at the end of 4th year, firm will invest an additional $20,000 that can bring the firm $17,000 per year for the next 15 years. That is, starting from 5th year to the 15th year. So then there are two possible cash streams. So what is required here is that is the initial project acceptable and why? And the second requirement is what is the value of the option to expand? What is the project worth with this option? Is this project now acceptable and why? अब आपके पास दो पॉसिबल आउटकम्स हैं. फर्स्ट वन इज दैट कि फर्म को 17,000 पर ईयर फॉर द नेक्स्ट 15 ईयर जो है वो कैश इनफ्लो होगा, एंड देयर इज अ 50% प्रोबेबिलिटी फॉर इट, एंड देयर इज अ 50% प्रोबेबिलिटी कि फर्म को फॉर द 4 ईयर कोई कैश फ्लो रिसीव नहीं होगा, एंड देन एट द एंड ऑफ 4th ईयर फर्म $20,000 मोर स्पेंड करके उसको अपना कैश फ्लो को सिक्योर कर सकती है फ्रॉम द 4th ईयर टू द 15th ईयर, दैट इज फॉर 11 years. So now we have two cash streams and we will solve for it, and there is an option for the firm in the case के पहले 4 साल फर्म को कोई कैश रिसीव ना हो. It means कि 5th ईयर जो 4th ईयर के एंड पे फर्म ने 20,000 की इन्वेस्टमेंट की है, so that was an option for the firm to invest into that. So we will find the worth of the project in case of the zero outcome in the second possibility and for the first 4 years, and then on the other hand 17,000 for the next 15 years. So we were talking about the cash flow streams that can be generated using this proposal. So the first one is that firm invests $100,000 and can generate a cash flow stream that for the next 15 years for 17,000 at the end of every year. And then there is an option for the firm कि अगर your project is going favorable, the firm can expand it further. For example, with the first investment, firm जो है वो 100 cages install करती है, and then with the second option, that is अगर तो project successful है तो in that case at the end of 4th year firm जो है वो again can invest another 20,000 and can arrange another 100 cages, उसमें 100 cages मजीद इंस्टॉल करके and then can generate again 17,000 for the next 15 years, जबकि उसका प्रोजेक्ट लीज पीरियड एक्सपायर होगा अप टू दैट टाइम. अब हमारे पास दो ऑप्शंस हैं and we will take the combined effect of these options. So first of all, with an initial cash outflow of, so this is problem number 8. So in case of the investment of $100,000, let's take the figures in thousands, and this is initial cash outflow, and the firm can generate 17,000 for the next 15 years. This is the 15th year. And then this is year 1, this is year 2, this is year 3, and this is year 4. और फर्म के पास एक ऑप्शन है एट द एंड ऑफ 4th year कि फर्म would spend another $20,000, that is $20,000, and the firm can generate 17,000 again for the next remaining years, that is starting from the year 5 to year 15, that is the 11 years. This is the 15th year. अब हमारे पास पहली ऑप्शन ये है कि we use this cash flow stream and we calculate the net present value of the project with a discount rate of 18%. So how do we calculate the net present value? That is, we calculate the present values of all these future cash flows, and remember that this is an annuity क्योंकि equal cash flows are occurring at the end of every year for the next 15 years. So we can use the formula of present value interest factor for an annuity. अब इसमें हमारे पास net present value क्या होगी? We have the cash flows of $17,000 per year, at the end of every year, and then we multiply it with the present value interest factor of an ordinary annuity with 18% discount rate for 15 years, and minus the initial cash outflow. So we can use the table 4 to calculate the value of this present value interest factor of an ordinary annuity, and this is 5.092. So 17,000 into 5.092 minus the initial cash outflow, it is equal to $100,000. So we calculate the net present value equal to 86,564 minus 100,000, the initial cash outflow. The net present value becomes 13,436. So you can see here the project is not worth accepting because the net present value is negative. लेकिन हमारे पास फर्म के पास एक ऑप्शन है कि फर्म कैन इन्वेस्ट another 20,000 at the end of 4th year and can generate extra 17,000 for the next 11 years. So now there is an option with the management to invest at the end of the 4th year के फर्म उसमें एक another 100 cages जो इंस्टॉल करके फर्म उस प्रोजेक्ट को मजीद एक्सपेंड कर सकती है at the end of 4th year by investing $20,000 here. So this $20,000 if invested at the end of 4th year, the firm can generate another 17,000 up to 15 years. So in that case, the annual cash flow would become in total 17,000 and 17,000. It is 34,000. तो इट मीन्स फर्म उसको डबल कर सकती है अपने कैश फ्लो को. नाउ वी विल सॉल्व फॉर this phase only and we see how much net present value is added by this option. So we can solve it by calculating the net present value at 4th year. At the end of 4th year it will become the present value of the future cash flows from year 5 to year 15, which is equal to, in fact, it makes in fact 11 years. So we calculate it for 11 years with an 18% required rate of return, and we minus out the initial cash outflow that was 20,000 at that level. So we calculate the present values of the next cash flow, that is 17,000. Again, this is a form of an annuity into present value interest factor of an ordinary annuity for 18% discount rate for 11 years and minus the initial cash outflow, which is 20,000, and we solve for it and we get a figure of $59,152. So this is at the end of 4th year, and then again we bring it back to the present value, that is at P0. So the net present value at time 0 would be equal to the net present value we just calculated, and then the net present value we just calculated, and we bring it back 4 years using the 18% discount rate, and we get a figure of 1.18 is its 4th power, and then we take an inverse of it and multiply it with 59,152. We get 30,510. This is equal to $30,510. So the net present value at the time t equal to 0 becomes 30,510 for the option we just exercised. अब इसका चांस क्या है? Its possibility is again 50%, क्योंकि हमने शुरू में assume किया था कि there is a 50% possibility कि firm will have either of the possibilities, that is firm will earn 17,000 of the cash flows, and if there is a possibility of 50% कि firm जो है उसके पास option होगी to expand the business for investing $20,000 at the end of 4th year and to earn an extra $17,000 for the rest of the life of the project. So in that case we assign the probability to it. So the expected net present value in that case would become 50% into 30,510. It becomes 15,255. And now what is the project's worth? The project worth would become this will become equal to the net present value we calculated for the first possible option. It was minus 13,438, plus if we exercise the option to expand the business at the end of the 4th year, and we can generate another $15,255, it will make it to plus, and when we solve for it we get the project worth equal to $1,817. So you can see here, using the managerial options, a project which was not worth accepting, it became worth acceptance. So इसमें इसकी net present value जो थी that was minus, इन द प्रीवियस केस, जब उसमें ऑप्शन अवेलेबल थी, देयर वाज अ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी इन द प्रपोजल कि एन अदर इन्वेस्टमेंट कुड बी मेड एट द एंड ऑफ द 4th ईयर, तो उस ऑप्शन की वैल्यू ने इसकी नेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू जो है या प्रोजेक्ट की वर्थ जो है उसको पॉजिटिव में कन्वर्ट कर दिया. तो इन दैट केस द प्रोजेक्ट मे बी एक्सेप्टेड. सो दिस was all about chapter number 14's problem, and now we come to chapter number 15 and we look for the first part of our chapter number 15. So we are going to discuss the chapter number 15 first part, and this is about the required returns and the cost of capital. So what is the learning outcome here? After studying chapter 15, you will be able to explain how a firm creates value and identify the key sources of value creation, cost of the individual components of a firm's cost of capital, that is cost of debt, cost of preferred stock, and cost of equity, and also explain and use, and then you will be able to define the overall cost of capital of the firm, and you will be able to calculate the alternative models to determine the cost of equity, including the dividend discount approach, the capital asset pricing model, that is CAPM approach, and you will be able to calculate the alternative models to determine the cost of equity, including the dividend discount approach, the capital asset pricing model approach, and before tax cost of debt plus risk premium approach. And also you will be able to calculate the firm's weighted average cost of capital and understand its rationale, use, and limitations. And you will be able to explain how the concept of economic value added is related to value creation and the firm's cost of capital. And you should be able to understand the capital asset pricing model's role in computing project specific and group specific required rates of return. और इसका जो first part है, that is it will cover up till the first 3 points we mentioned here in your learning outcomes. And then in this chapter we are going to cover the following topics, that is creation of value, overall cost of capital of the firm, project specific required rates, and then group specific required rates, and total risk evaluation. And then when we talk of value creation, how it is possible and how the firms they create value. There can be different possible ways when the firm they can create value. For example, the industry attractiveness and the competitive advantages. So what are the industry attractiveness? firm के पास कौन सी capabilities होनी चाहिए कि they can evaluate properly कि what are the industry attractiveness is there, and it can be possible using the growth phase of product cycle. And for the product firm is going to invest in any industry, उस प्रोडक्ट के लिए what is the growth pattern or what are the growth potential of that product into that particular industry. For example, अगर हम IT industry में बात करें तो there are so many new innovations. For example, if you talk of different softwares, we started with different messenger softwares, and now we have at the moment very much popular is the Skype and also the Facebook. And likewise, if we talk of the hardware, we started with the very old computers with the bigger sizes, and now we have very much fancy and tablet computers that can fit into your hand, and you can take all the tasks using these handheld computers, and they are even faster than the computers which are quite big with their big CPUs. So what are the growth phases of the product cycle? हम इसको relate कर सकते हैं कि इसके अंदर आप नई innovations लाके उसकी product की expansion जो है उसको possible कर सकते हैं. And then barriers to competitive entry. और अब इसके अलावा जो नए एंट्रेंट्स हैं इंडस्ट्री में जो आपकी प्रोडक्ट के लिए चैलेंज हो सकते हैं, व्हाट आर बैरियर्स अवेलेबल टू देम. अगर आप कोई आईटी इंडस्ट्री में ही बात करें तो देयर आर जायंट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज सोनी, देयर इज आईबीएम, देयर इज एचपी, देयर इज डेल. और अगर किसी नए कंप्यूटर मैन्युफैक्चरर ने इस इंडस्ट्री में उनको कम्पीट करना है तो इन दैट केस दे हैव टू इन्वेस्ट ह्यूज इन्वेस्टमेंट. उनको अपना जो लेवल है इन मैन्युफैक्चरर्स के लेवल पे लाने के लिए बहुत बड़ी इन्वेस्टमेंट और बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम चाहिए. और इट इज़ अ बैरियर फॉर द न्यू फर्म्स और दिस इज़ एन एडवांटेज फॉर द एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म्स. And then what other attractiveness is available in the industry is that the patents, temporary monopoly power, oligopoly prices. अब इसमें अगर फर्म के पास कोई नई इन्वेंशन है या उसके पास कोई ऐसी टेक्निक है विच इज़ नॉट अवेलेबल टू अदर मैन्युफैक्चरर्स या अदर कंपेटिटर्स, and then the firm can secure it by patenting it, and the firm can secure its product by using the patents. और उसके अलावा जो temporary monopoly power है, for example the firm can register those products and it is उसमें ये एक फीचर हो सकता है कि for the next 4 or 5 years no competitor can use this technology. In that case the firm can use the monopoly for that particular time period. And what are the competitive advantages for the firm available in the industry? First of all, cost. अगर फर्म का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऐसा है कि वो लो कास्ट प्रोडक्ट प्रोड्यूस कर सकती है बाय यूजिंग इकोनॉमीज ऑफ स्केल, जो भी फर्म इकोनॉमीज ऑफ स्केल अचीव करती है दैट कैन प्रोड्यूस द आउटपुट एट द मिनिमम कास्ट. सो दिस इज अ कंपेटिटिव एडवांटेज. और अगर कोई कंपेटिटर अपने आउटपुट्स इंक्रीज करना चाहे तो इन दैट केस दे हैव टू इन्वेस्ट into capital investment, and it can take time and huge level of investment also. And then marketing and price, there is a competitive advantage available for different firms the way they market their price of products. अब इसमें आप एग्जांपल इस तरह से ले सकते हैं कि you might come across a situation where आपको शेविंग रेजर जो हैं वो फ्री में दिए जाएं और उनके ब्लेड्स जो हैं you have to purchase for that. And this is only possible when the firm has enough capacity to produce those razors and can distribute it for free or at a very lower cost. And then the perceived quality, what quality the customers they have for certain firms or certain corporations. इसमें अगर आप मौजूदा फर्म्स को देखें जो नॉन फर्म्स हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल सोनी है, टोयोटा है या जनरल मोटर्स है, आप इनकी प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं they have a concept in the minds of the consumers. So this perceived quality has its value. अब इसके अगेंस्ट अगर आपके पास ऑप्शन हो कंप्यूटर खरीदने के लिए सोनी का, and then in the same price range and with the same specification another company is offering you a computer, so then you will definitely prefer to purchase from Sony because everyone has a concept about the quality for that company. So this is a competitive advantage and the firm should exploit that advantage. And superior organizational capability, अब इसमें फर्म के पास डेप्थ कितनी है, उनके पास अपने आप को एडजस्ट करने के लिए कितना पोटेंशियल है. फॉर एग्जांपल विद द चेंजिंग कंडीशंस ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक एनवायरनमेंट फर्म्स अपने आप को कितनी तेज़ी से एडजस्ट कर लेती हैं, उनका पोटेंशियल क्या है, उनकी कॉरपोरेट कल्चर कैसा है, हाउ डू दे अडॉप्ट टू द न्यू situation. So all these things, they are their competitive advantages. And after discussing the value creation, we come to the overall cost of capital of the firm. When we say overall cost of the capital, it means कि फर्म के पास जो डिफरेंट सोर्सेज ऑफ फाइनेंसिंग अवेलेबल हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल डेट फाइनेंसिंग है, इक्विटी फाइनेंसिंग है, प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक फाइनेंसिंग है, तो उनके साथ ईच ऑफ दिस फाइनेंसिंग हैज़ इट्स कॉस्ट विद इट. अब डेट फाइनेंसिंग में भी उसकी कॉस्ट हो 10%, इक्विटी फाइनेंसिंग की कास्ट में भी हो 11%, प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक की कास्ट जो है दैट में भी 12%. सो फॉर व्हेन वी ऐड देम अप इन certain mechanism. So we calculate the combined cost of capital, and we calculate the combined cost of capital by adding up all the cost of the different capitals. And how do we add them? Let's discuss in detail. Cost of capital is the required rate of return on the various types of financing. अब cost of capital जो है that is the overall cost of capital. It is in fact जब भी हम अपने न्यू प्रपोजल्स पे कोई रेट ऑफ रिटर्न जो है उसके साथ एसोसिएट करते हैं, that is we denoted it as hurdle rate also, that is the required rate of return. So that is in fact the minimum cost of capital the firm would require to as a return from that project. And the overall cost of capital is a weighted average of the individual required rates of return, that is the cost of debt, preferred stock and equity capital. अब हम जो different financing options के साथ जो cost of borrowing है, फॉर एग्जांपल कास्ट ऑफ डेट, कास्ट ऑफ इक्विटी या कास्ट ऑफ प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक है, उसको जब प्रोपोर्शनेट करते हैं उनकी वेटेज के साथ, देन वी कैलकुलेट द ओवरऑल कास्ट ऑफ कैपिटल. And use of overall cost of capital is taken as criterion for the evaluation of new projects. अब फर्म जो नए प्रोजेक्ट में इन्वेस्ट करने जा रही है तो उनका जो मिनिमम रिक्वायर्ड रेट ऑफ रिटर्न होता है, दैट इज इनफैक्ट देयर कॉस्ट ऑफ ओवरऑल कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल. इसकी एग्जांपल आप इस तरह से देख सकते हैं कि इफ़ यू नीड फॉर एग्जांपल $10,000 टू स्टार्ट योर बिजनेस एंड यू बोरो फ्रॉम मिस्टर ए $2,000 and from Mr. B you borrow $3,000 and you contribute by yourself $5,000. So in total you have $10,000 to invest, and then the borrowers, that is the lenders, Mr. A requires you to pay 5% as interest, and then Mr. B requires you to pay 10%, and for yourself you set a rate of return equal to 15%. अब आपने जो बिजनेस स्टार्ट करना है, दैट शुड जनरेट इनफ रिटर्न कि आप इन सब को सेटिस्फाई कर सको. एंड इफ यू लुक एट द प्रपोर्शन ऑफ टोटल फाइनेंसिंग आउट ऑफ दिस 10,000, तो 20% इज कंट्रीब्यूटेड बाय मिस्टर ए, 30% is contributed by Mr. B, and 50% is contributed by yourself. And now we calculate the weighted cost of this borrowing, and we have 1% when we multiply the column 2, that is the required rate of return by Mr. A and its proportionate and its proportion of total financing, that is 20%. We have a weighted cost of 1%, that is 1% of the total asset. And then we calculate the weighted cost from Mr. B, that becomes 3% of the total asset, and then 7.5% for yourself from the total asset. So if you take the annual cost for the investor return, so we have $100 for Mr. A, we have $300 for Mr. B, and $750 for yourself. So at least your project or your investment should generate $1,150 such that you can compensate all your financiers. तो इसी तरह से हमारे पास जो कैपिटल है, इसी तरह से जो फर्म के पास कैपिटल अवेलेबल होता है, दैट इज आल्सो समथिंग लाइक दैट. आप इसको मिस्टर ए को रिप्लेस कर दें डेट के साथ, मिस्टर बी को रिप्लेस कर दें प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक के साथ, एंड फॉर योर सेल्फ रिप्लेस इट विद इक्विटी स्टॉक. सो इन दैट केस it will make up the overall cost of the firm. So the overall cost of the firm is overall cost of capital for the firm is 11.5% in this case. अब अगर फर्म ने कोई भी नया प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्ट करना है तो in that case firm will at least be looking for a rate of return equal to 11.5%. And how do we assign values? In the case of, we use the market values, we don't use the book values. In fact, जब भी फर्म ने अपना जो वेटेड रेट्स हैं उनको असाइन करना होता है किसी भी सोर्स के साथ, तो इन दैट केस मार्केट वैल्यूज जो है वो ली जाती हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर फर्म ने बॉन्ड्स इशू कर रखे हैं तो देयर इज अ बुक वैल्यू अवेलेबल टू द फर्म, एंड देन देयर इज अ मार्केट वैल्यू जिस रेट पे वो बॉन्ड इज बीइंग सोल्ड और परचेज्ड. So that market value is taken for the calculation of the when we assign weights to them. For example, in case of long term debt, we take the market value, that is $35 million, and preferred stock equal to $15 million, and $50 million as the common stock equity. And we have the weights for it in total. In total, if they make for 100 million, so this is 35% is the long-term debt, and the preferred stock is 15%, and the common stock is 50% for this total capital. And then how we determine the cost of capital? So in fact, when we are going to determine the cost of capital, तो हमने एक जो amount borrow की उसके against जो firm है will be paying interest and principal amount for the next few years. For example, 5 years or 10 years. So we can denote it like that. The interest IT, the T may be any number of years, and PT is the principal amount out of that borrowed amount. And then we calculate the present value of those future cash outflows, हम उसको डिस्काउंट करते हैं with KD, that is the required rate of return. अब ये वो रेट है जिसके ऊपर हमारा जो डेट है, जो एट द मोमेंट हमारे जो फर्म का डेट है, दैट बिकम्स इक्वल टू the when we calculate the present value of all the future cash outflows. So when we get those figures equal with that particular rate, that rate is actually the rate of cost of debt. So KD in this case is the discount rate where the market value of debt issue becomes equal to the present value of all future interest and principal payments. So you can see here the market value of the debt issue, what the firm is having at the moment, और then KD is that rate कि जब हम future payments को discount करते हैं इस rate के ऊपर, it becomes equal to the market value. So that is the rate we call it as KD, that is required rate of return or cost of debt. अब इसमें firm के पास tax advantage होता है. Whenever the firm is going to pay any interest on a debt, the firm can take the tax advantage. So we use KD and we use the tax advantage here, that is we have KI, that is rate of return after tax. So the cost of debt after tax would become KD into 1 minus T. Actually it is like that, minus KD into tax. So you deduct tax on KD from KD. So then we can use the example here, that assume that AB Corporation has $1,000 par value, 0 coupon bond outstanding. ABC bonds are currently trading at $385.54 with 10 years to maturity. ABC tax bracket is 40%. So we can calculate the required rate of return using this information. Okay, this is the market value, and then this is the value of the firm, the bond after 10 years. And then the firm is not, there is no tax available, because this is a 0 coupon bond, there is no interest payment. So in that case, the KD is our required rate of return or the cost of this debt. So we solve for it and we get it like this, and we, using your scientific calculator, you can take 10th power 1 over 10 for this figure, and we calculate it as 1.1 or 10%. So in this case KD becomes 0.1, or you can say it 10%, and now we have to take the after tax rate. Then we apply the 40% of tax, that is 10%, the rate which we denote as KD, into 1 minus T. T is 40%. So in that case the rate in fact you have to pay is 6%. So the cost of debt in this case is 6%. And then another financing source is the preferred stock, and we calculate the cost of preferred stock. A preferred stock में case में क्या है? The dividend for the future is fixed for the unknown future, that is maybe an infinite number of periods. So in that case you can say the present value is equal to K. So in this case the present value in fact is equal to dividend on preferred stock divided by the rate, that is the required rate of return, KP, and we can write it like this here. The cost of preferred stock is KP equal to the dividend paid divided by the present value of that preferred stock. So with example we can explain it, that assume that AB Corporation has preferred stock outstanding with a par value of $50, dividend per share of $5, and a current market value of $49. So we will use the market value, not the book value or the par value. And we will calculate KP, cost of the preferred stock. It becomes equal to the dividend per share divided by the market value of the share. So it becomes equal to 10.10. 2%. But if you look at the par value, then it would become 10%. But in fact, we are going to use the market value so that we can have the better picture of the cost of preferred stock. So this cost is not adjusted for tax because dividends are already paid out of income after tax. इसमें dividends उस income में से pay किए जाते हैं from which tax has already been deducted. So we will not use tax to calculate the effective cost of preferred stock. And then we come to the cost of equity. There are different approaches to determine the cost of equity because in case of debt and preferred stock, the case is quite simple. But in case of equity stock, there are different approaches because for the common stocks, the rate of dividends is always varying. So it's not easy to calculate the cost of equity. So then the firm must earn a minimum rate of return on the equity financed investments that can maintain the market value of firm's common stock. और अब इसमें फर्म के पास जो बैलेंस है जो फर्म ने मेंटेन रखना है कि फर्म ने एक मिनिमम रेट ऑफ डिविडेंड जो है वो पे करना है सच दैट कि फर्म के जो स्टॉक्स हैं उसकी प्राइस मार्केट में मेंटेन रहे। अगर फर्म डिविडेंड्स पे नहीं करती या डिविडेंड्स कम पे करती है, इन दैट केस मार्केट वैल्यू उसके जो स्टॉक की है दैट विल ड्रामेटिकली फॉल डाउन और वर्थ और द वैल्यू ऑफ द फर्म वुड डिक्रीज। एंड देन वी हैव डिफरेंट अप्रोचेस such that we can determine the cost of equity. For example, the dividend discount model, capital asset pricing model, and before tax cost of debt plus a risk premium. So let's discuss the dividend discount model. So we have different discount patterns. For example, we have dividends for each period, and if you know that, we just simply discount those future discounts and you can determine the present value. For example, in this case, the dividends, they are denoted by D1, D2, all the way to the infinite. And we discount them with the required rate of return, which is KE. We denote it as KE as a cost of equity. So you can use this formula to determine the cost of equity. And then we have different models of growth for dividends. For example, in case of constant growth model, जब dividends जो हैं they grow constantly over a period of time, in that case how do we value the common stock and we determine the present value or the market value? In that case it's quite simple. If the dividends they are growing at a constant rate, we can use, for example, if the dividends they are growing at a constant rate, and we can use this model to calculate the present value, and it is for infinite period. We assume that this is for an infinite number of times. So we calculate the dividend in the last year which was paid previously, and we divide it with the required rate of return minus the growth, that is what growth pattern is there. For example, if the dividends they are growing 5% every year or 1% or less than that, so we simply take the difference between the required rate of return or the cost of equity minus growth pattern, growth rate, that is G. So we can calculate it by using this formula, and it assumes that dividends will grow at the constant rate G forever. So this is for an infinite number of periods. अगर हमें number of periods का पता होगा, in that case we can't use this formula here. And further, patterns of dividend is difficult to predict, but the historic patterns of the dividends can be used as a measure to the growth pattern of the dividend. अब चूंकि हम dividends की बात कर रहे हैं, तो dividends for common stock they are not fixed. In fact, they can vary over the time period. अब हम फ्यूचर में उसका ग्रोथ पैटर्न ये होगा, we cannot predict it, it's very difficult. लेकिन we can make our prediction looking at the historic data available for the dividends payments. So if we can suggest that over the coming number of periods or for over the next infinite number of periods, firm will maintain the previous pattern और उसका growth rate जो है वो maintain रहेगा for an infinite number of periods, then we can use this formula and we can solve it. We can explain it using this example as well. Assume that AB Corporation has common stock outstanding with a current market value of $27 per share current dividend of $2 per share and a dividend growth rate of 8% forever. So here we can determine the cost of equity using this formula. We divide the dividend with the present value and we add the growth rate of the dividend here. So we calculate it to be 15.4% in this case. So this rate would then be used as an estimate of the firm's required rate of return on equity capital. And then the growth phase model. जो पिछला मॉडल था उसमें जो ग्रोथ थी दैट वाज कांस्टेंट ओवर एन इन्फिनिट नंबर ऑफ पीरियड्स, बट हियर द ग्रोथ इज in phases. For example, for the first 5 phases growth rate एक है, then from the 6th to the next 10th period the growth rate का एक अलग से percentage है. So you can see here the growth pattern can be different. For example, starting from the first year to 5th year the growth rate is 15%, and then from the 6th year to 10th year the growth rate is 10%, and then from the 11th year to infinite number of periods growth rate is 5%. अब इसके लिए we calculate it separately. For example, we can simply calculate the present value for this phase, and then we calculate the present value for this phase at 6th year, and then we discount that again to the present value, that is t equal to 0. And likewise हम जो infinite number of period के लिए है इसकी calculation will be same as we did in our previous slide. You can see here that it will take the shape like this. अब इसमें जो constant growth rate है that is 5%, and we can use this formula to determine the present value at 10th period, and then we discount it again to the P0, that is the present value at time t equal to 0, such that we can determine. So in this way we can determine the present value for different phases and also the cost of equity using the growth phase model. And then there is another approach which is very much famous, and it is called capital asset pricing model, and we will discuss it in detail in our next lectures. So using CAPM, we call it CAPM as well, we can estimate directly the required rate of return on company's common stock. The cost of equity capital KE is equated to the required rate of return in the market equilibrium. The risk return relationship is described by the security market line. The required rate of return RJ for a share stock will be like here. So in this case, instead of calculating the present values using a discount rate, हम directly जो required rate of return है उसको find out करते हैं by using the market historic pattern. अब उसमें फर्म के जो रेट है, required rates of return है, वो किस तरह से वेरी किया था in the past, and we use that data, or we can calculate directly using the capital asset pricing model that cost of equity, and we calculate it like with this formula here, where KE is the cost of equity, RJ is the rate of return for the stock, and RF is the risk-free rate, and then RM with a bar on it is the expected return for the market portfolio minus the risk-free rate of return, and beta is the coefficient for stock J. The greater the beta for stock J, the greater its required rate of return. अब इसका जो postmortem है that we will do in our next lectures inshallah, but at the moment you just simply keep this formula in your minds and we solve it with this example. Assume that AB Corporation has a company beta of 1.2. It is suggested that the risk-free rate is 8% and the expected return on the market is 13%. So we put all this information in the formula and we calculate KE, that is cost of equity. So we have risk-free rate as 8%. We have expected rate of return RM, it is 13%, and then we deduct risk-free rate out of it and we multiply it with beta, which is 1.2 in this case, and we solve for it and we determine the value as 14% here. And then the third approach, before tax cost of debt plus risk premium. So this is a very simple approach. we take the before tax cost of debt and we add a risk premium to it. We add a risk premium into it, and that will become our cost of equity. So the cost of equity, capital KE, is the sum of the before tax cost of debt and a risk premium in the expected return for common stock over debt. So we have KE equal to cost of debt, KD, plus we add a risk premium into it. The risk premium is not the same as CAPM risk premium, it is different from that. So this approach is very simple, and this is not true in all the cases in fact. So but for the simple calculations, to have an idea, we can use this calculation as well. And using this formula, we have this example that assume that AB Corporation typically adds a 5% premium to the before tax cost of debt 9%. अब फर्म के पास जो cost of debt है that is 9%, और फर्म अपने जो previous उसका experience है using that, फर्म 5% उसमें premium risk जो है वो ऐड करती है. So in that case KD is 9% and the risk premium is 5%, so it makes the cost of equity equal to 14%. So if we take a comparison of all the different cost of equities we calculated, so using the constant growth model we calculated 15.4%, and the capital asset pricing model we calculated it as 14%, and for cost of debt plus risk premium approach we have 14% again here. So generally the three methods will not agree. We should have different values by different cost of equity using all three different methods. So whichever method suits best for the firm can take that as its cost of equity. And for today's lecture we can summarize it like that. हमने इसके पहले पोर्शन में पिछले चैप्टर के जो रिमेनिंग प्रॉब्लम्स थे उनको सॉल्व किया, and then we covered the topics of value creation and the key sources of value creation for the firm, and overall cost of capital of the firm, and cost of the individual components of firm's cost of capital, that is cost of debt, cost of preferred stock, or cost of equity. And then alternate models to determine the cost of equity. इसमें हमने डिविडेंड डिस्काउंट अप्रोच यूज़ की एंड कैपिटल एसेट प्राइसिंग मॉडल हमने डिस्कस किया, एंड देन बिफोर टैक्स कॉस्ट ऑफ डेट प्लस रिस्क प्रीमियम अप्रोच वी डिस्कस देम. और व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ कैपम अप्रोच, दैट इज कैपिटल एसेट प्राइसिंग मॉडल, हम इसको डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द चैप्टर नंबर 5 इंशाल्लाह. एंड होप टू सी यू इंशाल्लाह इन द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर. टिल देन, अस्सलाम वालेकुम.